Hey, here we are, sky blue fishing. Hope everyone's doing well. We are out here at the lake, about to throw out my night crawler and marshmallow, trying to get some trout. Let's see what we can do. Morning. How are you, Justin? Look like you guys got the storms that we just got like a week ago, man. Just finally let up. Got about 2 days of nice weather, and then it's going to get ugly again. It's tough when you got out. I mean, it's like serious mountain crap that I live in, and when we get real bad weather, it's just hard to drive. It's hard to do anything. Most of the fishing places I have to go, I have to drop down a bunch. I got this little mile long straight down. Yeah, a little bit of rain ain't so bad. Yo, back mountain. I was raised up in Oregon, and it just rained all the time there, man. So you just dealt with it. It's just life. It's that sideways rain and wind that's hard to deal with here. Jeez, man, tornado watch. Hey, it's crazy. When I was about 6, I lived in Arkansas by Little Rock. And I went through a real tornado. Touched down and, about a block away, it ripped off some houses, some roofs, and tore up some houses. Whole sky turned green. Sounded like a big train was coming down. This was in the 70s. So they had these air sirens to warn everybody. That was kind of like the freakiest part. It was this giant air raid siren, and it was like, oh goodness, everyone's panicky and freaking out. It was fun to go through once to say, like, yeah, tornado touched down about a block from us. But that was it. Never again would I want that. Did a music festival. I was in Arkansas again. Or no, this wasn't Arkansas. This was Kansas. We was doing it in a music festival. I used to vend a lot at music fests, and tornado came in. We had set all our stuff up. It takes like a day or so to set up your big vending booth. Whoa, man, that would have been real freaky, bro. You really felt that one. No joke, you felt that one. Yeah, and so that music festival, I was selling crystals and stones and my homemade jewelry, and so I had all this, it takes like a day and a half to set up stuff really right, and then they gave us the warning, like, tornado's coming, and then they shut everybody and everything down, and I hadn't packed up my booth so fast ever, man, until I got 45 minutes. I got all the high dollar stuff tossed in my gun cases, and I was out. Used to go to Lawrence, Kansas, do a little festival called Wakarusa. I like my music festivals. I try to see any live band I got, man. Wow. Man. I've gone through about 6 massive earthquakes out here living in California. Pretty decent ones. Nothing too outrageous, not like that Bay Area one in 89. But those are always weird, man. Those are the strangest things. I had out here on the West Coast, we call them typhoons when a hurricane hits. Yeah, the lines going in, man. Some of these shows, I used to follow the Grateful Dead around and stuff. And I'd say there'd be like 60, 70,000 of us going to a show. They, they kind of funnel you into this like 12-foot wide kind of like aisle, kind of like a car would drive down. And then there'll be, 10, 15 minutes in each direction of walking. And so you're talking, 1,000 people behind you, 1,000 people in front of you. And then it's like, 15 people on each side of you. All right, back. That was the only part that got weird because you were like hurdled in like cattle into like a little chute, and you couldn't do much. You just had to walk along gently for like a half hour to get, 20 minutes, whatever, to get up to the ticket agent guy. That'd be the weird part because you kind of like had to zen out because you were packed in, and there was like rails on both sides of you, people in front of you, people behind you, and there's just nothing you could do besides just gently walk. Those were the weird parts, metal detectors or whatever they'd want us to go through. Saw one show, there was like 105,000 people there. And that was a lot of people, man. I saw a bunch of shows. I saw this Grateful Dead with Bob Dylan show in Anaheim, and there was like 77,000 of us there. And that was tough, to be honest with you. Handling all that many people was really weird. You got this... you just pick up bits and pieces of thousands of conversations. And so during like break, you just hear everybody, yo, 07, trying for these trout, man. Yeah, you get that. You just get the bump. When I was 14, I didn't mind being pushed up against some cuties. That was fine with me. Little accidental touching, you're like, hey, I've just squished up against you. I'm not trying to touch you. But like I said, I was 14. Yo, Andrew. Hey, buddy. Yeah, I sure didn't mind that. This was Southern California. So you're talking all them Southern California beauties and all the weirdness that went along down there. I'm a leather jacket. I've got this tough attitude as a 14, 15-year-old hanging out with all these bikers. We'd go to the beach wearing our leathers and stuff, man. We were so cool. Everyone's out there like sun tanning and it's 85 degrees. Not us, man. Oh, that might have been a bite. We were too cool, man. Too cool to take off our leathers back then. Got him. Let's see who this is. That's a cormorant coming flying in too. This feels like a small trout, but I got him. Watch him surprise me and be some monster. That'd be great. He's not pulling drag. He's like a little lip dude. Sometimes they don't know they're caught till like the last second though. Oh, it wasn't even a fish. That's why. I was a stick. No wonder he didn't pull no drag. Sticks don't pull drag. Someone bit me, got me excited, and I snagged a stick. Ha ha. Stick on. Oh, sometimes the fish will bite them and take it for like a half a second, and then they drop it. I think they like drop it in weird areas, like where sticks are. Half the time, I lose it. I get snagged right after that, and I'm like, "What'd you guys do? Drop it where some rocks are?" Took my marshmallow though, so I know he got me. Got my marsh. If you're used to that liquid scent like they sell in your bait shop, they typically sell 6 or 8 varieties. You can go online to like your Amazon and then type in sweet corn like liquid scent for fishing. And I rarely ever see it in stores, but it's the same brand. I forget the label, but you can find that, and there's like 2 or 3 different sizes. Yeah, serious, man. I'm not sure if I can make it up this Tuesday, dog. I got about 500 potatoes I'm in the middle of planting, and then I got a ton of garlics that I'm tending to, and a bunch of my onions are coming in soon. So I was looking at that. I was like, I don't know, man. Like I got to till all my land and get everything ready. I've been doing a cover crop. So I've been spraying the cover crop with compost teas and getting it ready to churn in. But anyway, going back to that sweet corn. So then you find that sweet corn liquid scent if you guys can. And I mean, I'm telling you, it's a game changer. And you take that stuff and you just buy your little mini marshmallows. And then you just put them, put them in a little baby food jar or whatever, and you just soak the heck out of those marshmallows with that liquid corn, man. That sweet corn scent, I'm telling you, I'm out here fishing all the time, and I watch people. They're throwing every little thing they can at them, every flavor of power bait they got. Yeah, I'm a massive gardener, Justin. It's kind of like a mini farm. I got 100 by 60 plot that I'm growing in. I'm going to expand it too. I just got done moving off some of the bushes, so I'm going to shoot for 100 by 100 foot growing area. That's probably about as much as I can handle myself. I gave away about 600-700 pounds of produce last year. I grew for a lot of my community and kind of the needy. I have a real good green thumb. I've been growing things since a little boy, so I'm just amazingly good at it. I got 3 strawberry patches now that are all about 20 feet long and about 5 rows. And I can get, when they're producing right, I can get, about 3 of the big sour cream containers a day. Yeah, I don't use power baits. I don't use a lot of that weird stuff like that. The scent, I've gotten used to. When we do a lot of steelhead and salmon fishing, scent is really a must, man. It makes or break it'll change your whole reality. Hey, Cormorant, that dude just popped up right by me. And man, those steelhead get really finicky, and so over time, I've gotten used to seeing what the scent will do. And it's like, man, it's this oily substance, and it just leaves this scent trail in the water, and so the fish will, hunt it down, especially steelhead as they're booking up the river. So I've gotten used to that, and then I was like, what will scent do if I try messing around with the trout? And so I used a bunch of the things we use for salmon, krill, anise, bloody tuna, all these other weird things that salmon and steelhead love, and the trout just didn't touch it. And then I always knew people talked about corn, so I saw that there was a sweet corn scent. I was like, let me try this. Man, I usually am a night crawler guy. What I found is that presentation. Yeah, I remember you saying that. Justin. You're not really fond of them. I try to fish for what I eat. So now that doing YouTube stuff, it's kind of changed that parameter. So I don't mind doing a little more catch and release. But yeah, I tell you, it's that crazy time for me, man. I got like potatoes. You take your big potato and as soon as it starts putting eyes out, you cut it in 3 or 4 sections, and then you got to let that scab up, heal up, let those eyes get sun. So I'm walking in like 30 trays of cut up potatoes because it's still freezing at night here. So I take them out during the day and I let them get sunshine. I take them back in. Plant work's taking me about yep. Yeah, exactly, man. It's like bass fishing. I'm not a big bass fisherman, but there's some real big smallmouth in here, 7 to 8 pounders or bigger and stuff like that. And I know people enjoy that and enjoy watching that content. So I'm thinking about modifying some of my setups. I've caught bass on accident. I don't target them. So that'll be a new experience. Like, okay, crankbaits, whatever. When I used to live in Illinois, I used all these like little plastic worms, and then we would just toss it out there and just twitch it, just kind of jig it up and down until we annoy a fish. And that's how I caught a lot of the bass there, was just them little Senko kind of worm. So I've never used what crankbaits. Looks like the spinner equivalent for trout, for bass, I guess. Some kind of little thing you toss out there and reel it in. Man, that catfish looks fun. I'll never trade my salmon and steelhead, don't get me wrong, but I watch you guys catch some of them biggies, man. The salmon and steelhead make us work for it here. I got to go sit in a river sometimes with my waders. Interesting. Shiner. Okay. See, I hear you guys talk about that thing. I've never tried using those things, man. Heard fishy things talking about them. That's like shiner. It must be like a little minnow or something like that. That's different. I watch you guys, and I watch those ocean guys. They'll have that little bait box, that little cooler guy. That like a little aerated live bait box or something like that. That keeps those little minnows and all that stuff. It must be like aerated water, because I know they need to get their oxygen from the water. Becomes a whole different beast. Sweet. Yeah, my setups are all set. All my gear is set up around trout, steelhead, and salmon. So I got all these salmon rods, steelhead rods. You need a particular rod for twitching jigs. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that one up too. Andrew. I don't see them at my typical bait shop. So, and now that you mentioned it, like when I go up to Oregon and I buy stuff there, I never see the live guys there. They got salmon roe, they got shrimp in there, they got eggs, but I've never seen any kind of live bait up there in Oregon. Oh, I think that was a hit. Oh, it was a hit. You got my marshmallow, a little turd. That's what I love about like using this marshmallows. He got half my worm and my marshmallow, that little dude. He was good, man. That was the smallest little hit. That was a big fish. The old fish here are smart. You know, they've been caught one or two times and they know what to do. They're like, nah, I ain't falling for that, man. Re-gear. I got this wild. I was here last night, or, yesterday during the day, just relax fishing by myself. I got this wild small trout. I was bringing him up. I'm like, whoa, it looks like a salmon, like a little baby salmon. He had like those blocks, those big rectangular blocks, those black blocks on him. He had the most color I'd ever seen in a long time, all purple, just absolutely beautiful. Them little wild ones are something, man. Monkey! All right, let's get that fish. I'm not the biggest fan of eating bass. I tossed that other one I caught the other day out. Most of my friends and everything, I keep asking them if they want me to give them bass or catfish, and they don't like it. I usually probably end up getting like about 70, 80 pounds of trout over the season. I end up smoking. I got a couple of my lettuce crispers just packed full. I take it, when I go out, just take a little small dude fish. Yo, Chris. Trying to catch a fish. Missed one good bite. Well, one serious bite. I had another stick bite where dude got me and then dropped it real fast. Some winters are really different, Andrew. There's times out here where I've given it all I have and I couldn't catch a single fish, man. Just ridiculous. And then there's years where I've come out and, December and January it was slamming. About 3 years back here ago, it was just terrible, man. I assumed all the fish just went dormant. I got the wind blowing up. I thought maybe someone was messing with me. Yeah, man, Justin, no problem. Yeah, I rarely get skunked. They stock this place, so then it'll be challenging. Before they stocked it about 2 months ago. Before that, it was tough, man. I'd come out here and I'd spend all day, and I'd be lucky to get like one good fish, and I'd cherish the bite. I'd be like right there. It reminded me of steelhead fishing. That's the beauty. I watch people carp fish and catfish, and they don't catch them that often sometimes, but they're just sitting there. It reminds me of plunking, where we just sit there and our gear is just out in the water and you change your bait every 20 minutes. And that's all right. Catch a fish like that, you're satisfied. But I tell you, man, you get your butt out there and you're actually in the river. You're standing there with your waders and you're throwing your beads or your roe or, maybe it's a spinner. And then you got an hour, maybe 2 hours plus into it, and you're going on, 80, 80, maybe 100 casts at least every hour. Then, oh man, I think my marshmallow floated up again. How'd that guy do it? See, I didn't even see nothing. Tell you, at that rate, after you sit there all day long throwing, and then you finally get a big bite for a steelhead, it's like hitting a slot machine or something, man. I mean, you're so excited. You put so much time and effort and everything into just getting a bite. Worst part is when I'm unprepared. You got a whole different philosophy from salmon and steelhead. They're big difference in weight, big difference in how you fight them, the drags you set, how much you either hog them or you got to fight them. Then let the drag be your friend. And so there's been times where, yeah, it should be so fun, Andrew. There's times where my gear is all set up for one, and then I just come off a place where I'm slamming the Chinook, so I got everything set up to catch a 20-pounder, and I got it in my mind how to fight that big thing. Then all of a sudden I catch this 7-pound steelhead, and I overdo it because my mind was thinking what I had to do for the salmon. That's probably been one of my biggest mistakes: is switching modes. Switching mentality. But I tell you, sometimes you can get frustrated. I went up to the Rogue River once, and I was bobber. I had a float on, and I had beads. So you got a real heavy weight underneath your float, and you're trying to keep your bead on the ground. And so I go out there to the Rogue, and first cast I throw it out there, and it's booking down the river, and it drops. Matthew, good morning. And bam goes that bobber. And I did it, if you guys are bead fishermen for steelhead, you might know it's a weird hook set you do with the bead. You can't do your normal hook set because you'll literally just pull the bead and the hook right out of the steelhead's mouth. So you do this gentle kind of thing where you reel in to get tension, and then you do a gentle kind of side hook or a small back behind your head kind of hook, but you don't do the massive hook set like you would when a trout nails you or something. If you got a bead on there, the way that's set up, you got this bead, and then you're about 3 fingers away is your hook from your bead. So they bite the bead, and then what you're trying to do is you're trying to slide that hook into the side of their mouth after they bite the bead. The hook isn't actually connected to the bead, so that'll be a big issue. And so I was telling you guys, I was up on the Rogue River and I throw out my bobber and it's booking down there, and then bam, that bobber goes down, and I just wasn't thinking correctly, and I didn't set right, and it lost the fish. And then that's it. I was there for the next 3 hours throwing my bobber and throwing, endlessly. Probably another 500 times I cast out in that river. Nothing. That's probably one of the most frustrating to me, is because you'll get up there and you'll have this one chance. You'll have one shot at a big steely. And if you're off your game for whatever reason, because you mentally slipped for a second, then they went that shot. And that's all they'll give you sometimes. So catfishing looks fun. Get to pull in a big 40 or 30 pounder, this kind of guy. But it reminds me of the plunking, or you just kind of chilling. The reward you get from when you're sitting out there in a river all day and you're like, you've had to re-rig, 30 times, even your beads, eventually they get snagged on something, and then they slide down to the hook, and then eventually they rip the hole that's in the bead. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, Andrew. So then, like, that experience, it's a rewarding one. That's kind of what I know fishing ends up being like. I watched this girl, Faith Mary. She's a young woman fisherman. She was talking about dating. She's talking about girls her age and her beauty and stuff like that. Just how they view men, and they're like, it's kind of like fishing. They're like, you don't want the easiest catch. You don't want to just go out there and throw your rod in and then instantly you catch a bunch of these little guys. They're like, fishing is more rewarding when it's a challenge, when you have to really work for it. And so she was like, these simp kind of guys that'll just give you everything and agree with everything. This isn't a challenge for a lot of women. And it made sense because she related it to fishing. And I was like, yeah, it's true, because it's like, when I go out fishing and I throw out my bobber and I instantly catch something, if I can catch my limit, because I want to bring fish home, if I catch my limit in 10 minutes, I'm happy to have fish, but it wasn't a challenge. When I spend that whole day trying to catch that one, sometimes 3 or 4 days to catch that one steelhead, then I bring that thing home, I'm just like, I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm trotting around with my head held high. I'm like, I got a fish. I got a big fish. It's kind of like that vibe. So I was like, it makes sense. A lot of those things in life tend to be more rewarding if you really had to, push yourself for it. I'll never forget when I first went down to like Chetco River. Chetco River is southern Oregon. It's really close to the California-Oregon border on the coast, just right past the California border. Yep, that haystack looks nice, man. Good-looking fish there, too. Getting envious, man. And then, so I went down there in February to the Chetco, studying it, learning all about different spots and stuff like that. I drive down there. and I see about 100 pickup trucks just lined up in this bar, they call them, where it's all rock bar. And I was like, wow, what is this? I'd never heard of plunkin, never seen it. Ooh, that's pretty osprey. And so I was just blown away, man. It was just truck after truck after truck after truck. And I don't see anybody outside. They're all sitting inside their truck. I was like, what is this? It was so bizarre. Usually when I fish, I like my space. I like my aloneness. I like to commune with nature. These guys, look like swap meet parking lot or something. I was like, what is this? And so I had to learn. I'm like, all right, so this is how the locals catch them down here. I don't think I've caught any steelhead on plunkin. All I've done is sit there and waste my bait. So what I would typically do is I just go fish the river, slamming it with beads or slamming it with spinner or whatever. Then after I get tired, I'll throw in this plunkin rod and I'll, make some food, take an hour break or something like that, and then wash my plunkin rod. When I'm trout fishing, lake fishing like this, I don't mind. See, 10-pounder, man. That's something. And it doesn't look like the reservoir is that big or deep either. I see you guys. Maybe because of phone reception, you might be limited to a few spots. But I typically see G-Man in similar areas. The lake I'm at here now, it goes for about a mile in length. It's kind of like a reservoir. And they just built it, they dammed up this little area. They dammed up the Sacramento River and created this little lake, maybe just for recreation and that kind of deal. Oh, I got him. Oh, I got him. That's a fish. Yeah. I got him. Little troutster. You ain't going away this time, buddy. Oh, Mr. Trout. Whoa, buck. Looks like maybe a female. Not much color on this one. Oh yeah, let's go show the world you. You're hooked on the lip, so I can let you go easy. I don't like to touch it if I don't have to. That's a pretty girl. She's a pretty girl. Say here, buddy. I don't see much color on her. Plain Jane, silver, usually females. Yeah, it was easy lip hook. Easy lip. You take care. Whoa, you take care, big fish. Big fish. Well, that's fish number one. Fish number one. Heck yes. 70. All right. That's pretty deep. It gets about 80 feet here. So you're not much different than where I'm at, kind of deal. That's I bet you, they probably have good success trolling or something then. That was a pretty little girl. I don't like eating that size fish, though. I would never keep one that size unless I was really hungry. That's what I was wondering. about 10, 15. That's nice. That's about what we got. That's about what I'm after here. 10, 12 feet or so in most spots. This is the inlet area. So they come up here to breed, or they come up here for more highly oxygenated water. Got these coastal cutthroats, man. I think end of April, maybe. End of April down there in the west. Yo, trapper. Hey, buddy. Just had a little one. Little 12, 13 inchy. Nice little trout. We got where California and Oregon comes together, and then you go up on the Oregon side on the coast. The first river is the Windchuck. Beautiful little river. It's like right on the California-Oregon border. And but there's the teeniest amount of accessible river space. The rest is all just privately owned. So you have to drive up about 6-7 miles until it's kind of like a trickle up in the forest. By then, it's hard to get the big steelhead. Then the next river, like another 10 miles up, is called the Chetco. But then you keep going further up, you get the Pistol. I think maybe the Elks or 6 something. Anyway, those are all on the coast of Southern Oregon. And you get these coastal cutthroats that come in. I've only caught a small one, but I was sitting there listening to all the locals talk about it. It sounded like they said it was like one of the best eating trouts that they could get, because it's a coastal run cutthroat. So anytime like the steelheads and stuff, anytime they're out in the ocean and then they come in, man, you're talking just about a really good tasting fish. That's been one of the things I've really wanted to go do. Maybe planning on a trip to Pyramid Lake. That's kind of a place where it's a pay entry kind of spot. I think it's now like $20 a day just to go there to fish. It's kind of like Santa Ana Lakes, where you actually just got to pay to go to a private kind of vibe. I think Pyramid Lake is owned by the native tribe there. But they have the Lahontan cutthroat, the world's biggest cutthroat trout, and they get like that. They get up to like 20-pound trout, and they're a cutthroat. Looks like a fairly decent fish. I watched this other guy catch these brooders, and up there in Washington, sometimes in Oregon as well. They'll take their old hatchery fish, the big massive fish they've been breeding for a decade. Then they'll let it go, put it in a little pond or something like that. They dump these little, starting off, like 12, 15-pound fish. I've seen them. They do it at Santa Ana Lakes. And that fish doesn't look like that. It would be a fun fish to eat. You get lucky and you might catch this big monster 12-pounder. Think the fish up in the haystack and stuff. I think it was G-Man was talking about. It was either haystack or the Ochiko, that they were wild. They don't stock them, and so they're like holdover fish. So you get these giants that have been living there. That's my kind of fish, man. That's why I use the night crawlers mostly here. Spinners, night crawlers. Man, yep. You can't get any fresher steelhead than that, man. Hanging out with this local down there in the Chetco River. The Chetco River has a salmon that rivaled the Rogue. A bunch of locals had caught 60-some pounders right off the bank, big, massive king salmon. And so I was chatting with this nice local guy years back about his approach. He's got a sea kayak, and that's what he does. Is he goes out in like the little the inlet, the little sound kind of part of the ocean right before it enters the river. And when the salmon kind of group up out there in the ocean and they get ready to enter the river, when the river rises with enough rain and everything, he said that's when he goes out there. That sounded like the best. Because you get them before they haven't changed. Ooh. Yeah, they did. They stocked. They stocked here with about maybe 3 to 5 pound trout about 4 years ago. There was this big trout. It was about this time of year, maybe even in March, and they half of them look like zombie fish. You guys know what I'm talking about, when they spend too much time in a hatchery and they got all these sores on their body and their nose has been, blunted because it looks like they bumped into the edge of the tank so many times. They're fun fish to catch, don't get me wrong. But I threw all of them back as soon as I caught them. A couple of them had eggs, so I kept them just for the eggs. But you could tell. You're like, oh, that's going to be a real gross fish to eat. And imagine if that was the first time you ate trout, or if that's what you ate a lot of times is trout, you would probably think trout is just absolutely disgusting. If that's what you eat, it's all that hatchery stuff. It is kind of gross in my book. The meat isn't that firm. The oils aren't that great. So sometimes when I see people who really don't enjoy trout, I've often wondered what kind of trout they've got. Trout's one of those that's a lot better fresh. You keep it around for a week or longer in your fridge, and those oils start to kind of change. Oh, it's nice out here today. It's freezing cold, but it's nice. Looks like we get very similar weather to you, Andrew. Today is going to be about mid 60s or so. It's like 32 right now, though. And then I think, 60, 68 or so is going to be the high today and tomorrow. And then it looks like we got rain coming on Sunday and Monday again. But I noticed that when I heard you talking about. Yep. I think you guys got real similar weather. I lived in Redmond for about a year. Had my middle child in Redmond. Natural birth right there at the house. That was 2002. I really wasn't fishing back then, though. I was doing other stuff. But it was that high desert. We had these afternoon winds that would blow in every day, man. And it just made growing things. Whoa, the duck just popped up. You guys didn't see him. But yeah, it made growing things real hard, man, because that afternoon wind was just strong and whipping, man. And it just was so dry. It would just beat the heck out of everything, man. High desert, I guess they called it. It seems like I'm in the southern edge of that kind of like band. When I leave here, if I start heading north, at about 6 miles is the Highway 97, the start of the Highway 97. And that's it. That's where like this shift over happens.
I go about 7 miles north of me, and it switches. It becomes this mostly juniper and sagebrush kind of environment. And then you come down about eight more miles south, and you get to where I am, and it's this coniferous forest. Then it goes down for about 60 miles to a town called Redding. And there, during that whole spell, it's just this really beautiful coniferous forest. Then you get down to Redding, and it switches. It's all like oak tree. Yeah, it is nice up there, man. Got Mount Flatular, as we used to call it. My cousin lived right by the mountain there in Bend. Three Sisters are nice. I like that. Sisters Oregon's really cool, man. They got this I don't know what you want to call it, mountaineering kind of shop where they make that furniture out of logs. They make like those beds, and they make like chandeliers out of antlers and things like that. I always loved that little store up in Sisters. I go digging crystals or petrified wood over by a place called Brothers, which is not hip and happening like Sisters. It's just a nothing on Highway 20. I used to go ride my motorcycle over to the north, close to where G-Man talks about and spends time. It was tribal land, and it would cross over. It's a place called McCubbin's Gulch. Like Paulina. It was close to a little town called Paulina. That was one of my favorite places to ride my off-road motorcycles. Had like 30 or 40 miles of real nice trails. Now it's weird, man. They make you pay an entrance fee, and being raised in Portland, so many things changed. I lived in a time when there was no traffic in Portland, Oregon. Like the only time you would have an issue is you'd have to slow down where the I-84 met the I-5, just because it was a 35-mile-an-hour corner. So you'd have to just kind of slow down for a minute. But now, every time I go there, it's like a 10, 15-minute backup on those freeways. It's just every time, any time of the day now. It's so weird when you're like, wow, I remember this place when there was no traffic. I used to see pictures of Southern California. It was a big farm. It was called Orange County. This guy, Irvine Ranch, had like half of Southern California in a big ranch. You'll see old pictures of it. It looks so different. My dad left Portland in the 70s, and so he went to Southern California, so I'd go live with him for a year or two at a time. They did it in like the early 80s, and he lived in Orange County. And there was endless orange groves. It was great. I used to walk these orange groves that would go on for 10 miles. It was the first time I really got to hang out with these massive orange groves. And now I'll go back to those areas, and like all of them are gone. None of those orange groves. You'll see remnants. You drive around, and you'll see the orange trees in somebody's yards, backyard maybe. And it's like, oh yeah, that was part of what was once, a massive orange grove. Come on, big fishies. I try to use the bait that'll get me something bigger. I was surprised I caught this, like, say, a little 10-inch guy yesterday, but 8 to 10-inch little wild guy. Most beautiful thing imaginable. But he bit on like a huge worm. Put a full-size worm and a marshmallow on there. I was so surprised. Come on, visions. Gotta stand up, get the body moving. Man, got a heated jacket. I got a Milwaukee brand, it's M12. It's nice, man. It's made a world of difference. I got this heated jacket about 2-3 years ago. Man, changed my whole fishing experience. Sweet. Yeah, I looked for your live. I went on your site, Andrew, and I didn't see a replay of the live. I heard you comment about it. You're like, oh, on my live, I caught some of these big giant fish. So I went on your site trying to find the live to see if you made it public, to where I could just watch the live that you did, but I didn't see it. I just saw the few videos, regular long form videos. Yeah, I tell you, man. At first, I was like, heated jacket. I was unsure about that thing. But I was just reading up on it, and they're like, man, you know, unlike a lot of other outdoor activities, when you fish, you're just sitting. We're not moving. We're not hiking around. We're not actually doing much. We just kind of sit still. And they're like, so a heated jacket can be pretty beneficial. So I was like, all right, you know, they're like a couple $100, but I was like, let me try this thing. And man, it has been a game changer. It's got like 3 settings on it. And I put it on like right now when it's like 30 degrees out. I put it on the hottest. Hello, Cartero. So nice to have you here. Trying to catch rainbow trout. Got one so far. Missed a couple bites. Talking about how beautifully warm it is at 30 degrees out here. Just above freezing, so it's probably 32 right now. How's that haystack area in the summer? Yeah, I caught one so far, Carter. I got one probably 13 inch, nice little rainbow trout. Looked like a little female. I think I missed 2 other bites. Crazy life. Howdy. Welcome. Trying to slam rainbow trout here. Got one so far. Well, I'd love to catch a German brown. We have the German brown strain here. Oh, what are you trying to fish for today? I'm out here in Northern California, so I'm fishing for trout mostly. Till the rivers are good enough, then I go steelhead fishing. Yeah, I'm a big into the salmon and steelhead and nice big trout. I love to eat those. I love to smoke them. I got a real nice big propane powered smoker. Kind of got that Hank Hill in me. Propane and propane accessories. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I saw a guy in Pennsylvania was going to go live today for trout. So I think their trout season in certain places on the East Coast are just opening up. I have to wait. Big bass. Yeah, exactly. Propane and propane accessories. Nothing quite tastes as good as propane. I'm excited about the new Hank Hill, the new King of the Hill they were talking about. I'll give that a watch. King of the Hill was fun in my youth. Yeah, we have till the end of April until I can hit the rivers and creeks here. Like, you know, we can fish most lakes year round. Ooh, yeah. I caught a 26 inch, probably about 5 pound German brown here. I hang out with a bunch of people who do hunt. It's been a while. It's been, it's been many, many a decade since I actually have hunted, but I know all about it. I'm a really, really good shot. I haven't had the need to eat that kind of stuff. I don't eat a lot of red meat. I eat more chicken and turkey and stuff like that. So I'm more like more kind of guy to raise a flock. But I'm in the middle of the mountains here, Northern California, we're close to the Oregon border. So it's a pretty big hunting area up here. Ooh, that's nice. We have the German brown strain, and the Oregon and this part of Northern California, when they brought the browns in, they brought a German brown, and they brought it from the Reinhold River or something like that, and so it has a lot of red dots on it, and so you'll notice that. Ooh, 22, very nice. Oh, thanks so much, Dark Bunny. I appreciate you swinging by. Yeah, I would say that's something similar for my personal best rainbow. I probably caught, it was probably about a 28-inch, 7-pound, very similar to that. Oh, I'll have to look that one up. Wiki up. Like I was mentioning to you before, Andrew, we got this place called a Miller Lake. It's by Chumult. So it's south of Bend, right by that little town called Chumult. Then you head in. I watched Dave Fishy Adventures go there once. And so he took a boat when he went there. Yeah, I think that's the whole thing about it, man. Like the biggest trout that I've caught here, I've given me like a 10-minute fight, man. And I just, I got like maybe an 8-pound line on a leader with maybe a little bit stronger from my main line. But you want to kind of gently, because they do that massive head shake or something like that. They can exert a lot of force. It's not just the weight of the fish, it's how much force they can snap when they do that head snap. And so that's always my favorite time, man. Is you got something big on. That big German brown I caught here about a month ago, it was like that. I threw a bobber out, and I had kind of a sad looking worm in my little worm guy. So I'm like, I'm going to put this whole worm on instead of cut him in half. So I just threaded it, and it was just like 6 inches of worm hanging off my hook. And I threw my bobber out in like six feet of water. And then like 2 seconds later, my bobber just disappeared. I bet you the fish was right there. And I threw the worm out, and it floated down right in front of him. Oh man, yeah. See that you got to really be with that kind of line and all that stuff. You really got to be cautious. Fight that fish. Don't hog him in. Because when I'm catching salmon, sometimes you just got no choice, man. We got to get these things out of the river and that current. And it's just like, I'm going to hog you. And so I just crank my drag up hard, and I just pull that big old salmon in, man, get him out of that current. Because if he just locks himself into that current and he's got 10 feet of water above him, that's just pushing at like 1,500, maybe 2,000 CFS, then that there's so much water holding that salmon down that I can't budge him. Yeah. That's the thing, man. It's like, it's different than when you got a fish that just fights you and he just does head shake, and he's just like, you got a 40-pound fish that wants to give you the business. But these big steelheads and these big salmon, they know how to use the current. Wow, Andrew, I read that a trout can't see it. That trout can't see the line. So I just since I heard that, I was like, I'm just gonna go way up then, man. And I don't think I use anything. I don't think I think I got 8, maybe 10-pound fluorocarbon leaders that I use. I catch fish constantly. So I haven't tested it yet, but I use good sized leader constantly, and nothing smaller than 8 pound. And I'm catching little fish, big fish, medium fish. So I don't know, guys. It's going to be a hard one to tell because you know it's not like you can catch the same fish. You can catch another fish, and so you know, was that fish just so hungry? I don't know. I've watched these underwater video cameras footage though, and you'd be surprised how many like little pecks fish will come up and do on a bait that's suspended up. And like, you know, power bait, or like me with the marshmallow where it's sitting up a foot high. And I mean, it is so surprising how many teeny little hits will happen that aren't even enough to register anything on the fishing pole. And then you'll watch them, they'll pick it up, and then they'll carry it towards your pole, which will give you slack, or they'll go the opposite way, which will give you a tug. But it was real surprising. I was like, man. So I don't know. I'm not sold on the particulars of using a teeny tiny weighted line. I've heard people talk about with crappie and bluegill and a few of these other teeny little fish. That makes sense because you're catching a little guy. Yeah, I have a few rods that started off at like 6-foot rod, you know, but then you break a little chunk off at a time, and you can end up getting like a 5.5 foot rod. Doesn't have the best. It's ultra light, so it's still pretty good. Missing a little bit of the tip, but I like to take those in these little creeks because I got so much vegetation around me that it's the casting or it's the drifting. When it's drifting in the river, then I can't retrieve it because it starts to get itself close to sticks or a big bush that's coming off the bank. And so I'll be able to cast out if I'm lucky. But then let's say I'm drifting something. Let's say I just got a slip shot with a night crawler or a bead or some roe on there, and I toss it out in a small creek, and it's just kind of bouncing along the bottom. It'll do that pendulum swing and swing back towards me. And then 80% of the time I'm avoiding some bush or a branch or a log that's in the river or creek. I get I've gotten used to the idea that when you go to a new place, you lose a lot of gear. So my least favorite things, but interesting what you guys use for trouts. I was trying to fish this river I got real close to here. It's a gorgeous river. It's got massive regulations on it, so I have to use all kinds of weird artificial stuff. I gotta have barbless hook. I have to do all these interesting things, but I do it. So I'm using mostly spinners, and I think I lost 6 or 7 spinners in the last 2 weeks there. Yeah, probably 6 spinners. Every time I go out, I'll lose 1 or 2. And it just gets to you after a while. You're like, man. So I become like this creature of habit. I'll get to pattern a certain section of a river, and I'll know exactly where all those snags are. So then when I go back there, I'm not losing all my gear. And then I kind of like to go to that area. When we're dealing with salmon and steelhead, you kind of have 2 different philosophies. You can, because they're some migratory fish, so they leave the ocean, and they head up to their final destination, however far that is. When I fish the Chetco, sometimes they're only going 10 miles upriver to lay their eggs. Nice. Yeah, see, a crappie isn't one I'm too familiar with. And bluegill and crappie are like accidental catch. So then, when you're dealing with those salmon and steelhead that are migratory and they're booking up the river like that, you have two different philosophies. You can river bounce. You can hop around yourself. You can try to intercept the fish when they happen to be booking up because you were there at the right place at the right time, or you can kind of just camp out in one particular spot and you wait for the fish to come to you. I watch these locals and they'll give a place a try for 10 minutes and they're like, oh, no fish are here. And then they go to another hole. Oh, no fish there. Then they go to another hole. Sometimes I just stay in the same hole and then I wait. And then all of a sudden the fish are there. When I do that, I've learned a pattern that particular stretch. E 603, hey. No rain for today here. I'm lucky. Got one in. I lost two decent sized little bites. Got one in so far. Just saw a couple guys jumping. Went through this over too. Yeah. Absolutely better than zero. I'm still waiting for the big boy. Yeah, Andrew, every time I head up north, heading up towards Bend region, just north of Klamath, the Klamath Lake area, is this river called Williamson. And it looks like it feeds the north part of Klamath Lake. And man, that is a gorgeous looking river. It looks like one of those really wide but fairly shallow kind of rivers. It looks like it's tucking 3 or 4 feet deep, but it's 50 feet across in some sections. Frenchie, good morning. And so I think it's a strange one for it might be a catch and release only kind of river. But man, when I read up the report on it, I looked at what they were doing, and they were catching some big 20 some inch plus German browns there. I really enjoy river fishing. It's a test as an angler. You got the factor I was mentioning just a little bit ago that you lose a lot of gear, and that is it's become something I understand happens, something I do not enjoy, and I'll go, well, like G-Man, I've watched him take his shoes off and walk out there in the reservoir to get his lure back. I will do about everything I can. Nikki! Bubbly! Hey. Got one trout so far. Missed a couple bites. Trying to catch something bigger than the little stalkers they put in here. Yeah, exactly. I love fishing so much. I love being outside that and I eat a lot of trout. That I definitely like going. Connecticut River. That sounds cool, man. You guys got like maybe brook trout in that river. Or imagine you might have browns and rainbows. So I was thinking you might have brook trout over there in Vermont. Brook trout are one of the toughest ones here for us. They have really weird limits in California on them. You can't take anything bigger than 10 inches. So they really want you to protect. They really want to protect the brook. So I don't even know if I've eaten a brook trout before, to be honest with you. It's one of the few that is so regulated that I just can't, I don't have access to the big fish. Yeah, I'm in Northern California, and we've had the salmon closed for 2 years. I think they're just about, yeah. I was born, and I was born just north of Portland in Washington, and then I was raised in Portland, Oregon. So I was a big Columbia guy. Outside of Portland, we had this beach on the Columbia River called Rooster Rock. And yeah, New York, man, you got the Salmon River up there. I watch people do that one, man. That one looks interesting. So yeah, Vancouver, man. I had buddies lived in Hazeldale. I used to go over to Washougal and ride the track and stuff like that. I was an off-road motorcycle guy, so we'd go to the Washougal a lot. Cool. Yeah, there's kind of like there's active and non-active fishing, which this is not active fishing. This is non-active here, where I'm just sitting here waiting for something to bite. Versus like when you're in a river and you're throwing a spinner or you're doing a fly, you're actively. Oh, Monkey Man, heck yeah. Oh, that sounds like a good water source, man. Yeah, we got Oregon and Washington. I'm right here in Northern California, so I consider it Oregon most of the time. I mean, really, it's kind of like the state of Jefferson. It's this part of Northern California is more like Southern Oregon than it is anything else. But we have the cutthroat, we have the brook, we have the brown, we have the rainbow. We don't really have the bull trout here. We start getting up into Oregon, and you get up to Washington, and you get the bull trout. Most of the places I see the bull trout's protected, though. Then we got some odd variances. Up in Washington, they have one called the Dolly Vartan trout. Yeah, Kokanee's not real close to me. I know the G-Man fishes for him. So if about 4 hours north of me is the town of Bend, up there in that area, there's a place called Lake Billy Chinook. That one seems to be yeah, huh? That one seems to be really good for kokanee. I watch them catch that all the time. I was just thinking about that the other day. I'm not sure if I've actually eaten kokanee. I was like, I gotta try that. Yeah, with landlocked. I think a kokanee is a landlocked Chinook originally, if I'm not mistaken. There is big bulls in Lake Billy too, huh? That's what I figured. I figured they would taste like salmon. You know what I mean? That's what I figured. I mean, it's if I'm not mistaken, it's a Chinook. It's just a landlocked Chinook salmon, and so I've wanted to do that, man. I watched G-Man doing them. He does them on his kayak and stuff like that. Oh, I saw you jumping, little buddy. I'm gonna throw this over there. We got these big. There's this 36 plus inch fish in here. The biggest fish on record is like a 27 pounder. There's been a whole bunch of 20 pounders. And then the browns here, the German browns, man, they get 36 inch plus, but they're so hard to catch. Bouncer, my baby loves biscuits. My baby loves biscuits, 'cause it's a biscuit party. Did you bring enough for the whole class, Bouncer? You know how it is. If you bring food to the chat, you got to bring enough for the whole chat, my friend. Yeah, exactly. 27 pounder. 27 pound rainbow, man. Not a lake trout. Not no goofus, big old chunk butt lake trout. This, I'm talking rainbow, cut lean, mean machine, man. Yeah, I was fishing the opposite end of this lake. Imagine a big long river that just runs through a real steep slot canyon, box canyon, and then they just dammed up one end, and so then it created a lake, and so it's a slot canyon, and so it gets real steep. You'd be almost impossible to mountaineer it, because sometimes there's 200-foot sheer basalt. Man, 20 pound is coming. Shoo, dog. You guys must have eaten some interesting things. You fish are eating some interesting things up there to get that big. You can tell the nah, just good conversation. No fish. You didn't miss no fish. Bouncer's telling us about his breakfast that he's going to serve all of us. We got that teleportation device set up, so Bouncer can just teleport me the breakfast that he's making. Sick. That's strange. Why? Like mercury poisoning? Kind of sick? You know, the old Asian philosophy was the bigger the fish, the bigger the mercury. Yeah, serious. Oh, there was a chunker. Man, all I brought was like a protein bar, man. Now I'm dying. I'm over here thinking it's time to crack open a protein bar. I'm the kind of guy that when I wake up, I usually don't have much of an appetite. I was a caffeine guy forever. I cut out caffeine about 5 months ago, which has been very weird. Fishy, yo, buddy. Life without caffeine is an interesting reality, let me tell you. But anyway, my body has just been kind of trained to not eat when I first wake up. So I get up and I'm just going to go for, like 3 or 4 hours. And then I want to eat. People are like, oh, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I hate eating breakfast. It's challenging. Well, that 36-inch brown, I'm telling you, that would have been right on my oven, bro. 36-inch brown would be a tasty fish. See, brown isn't a trout. Brown is a salmon. Brown's a salmo. It's a whole different family there, man. Hey, the homemade meatball sandwich. Roly-poly meatball. Remember that, like, It was K-Tel, kind of. Remember, we used to have this K-Tel records, man. They'd put out. Oh, that's really great. I like to catch them big ones to eat, man. I'm about eating them. If I can tell it's going to be a good eating fish and it's big enough, occasionally I let them go, but usually I don't. In the fall here in like September, we get right here where I'm at becomes like a hot zone, man. The lake out there heats up like crazy, and so all the big trout come over here to get the highly oxygenated cold water from this Wagon Creek that enters this lake. About 60 feet to the left of the camera is where the creek enters this lake. We're not allowed to fish the creek, but we can fish the lake. And so around the end of August into September, I haven't tried a drum yet. I really want to try eating one of those drums, man. I make drums, but I don't eat drum yet. But so I'll oh man, like sometimes the water, we've had these drought years, this thing will dry up like crazy, and then they lower the dam, so then the Sacramento River has some good flow, and then this thing becomes like a little creek that goes through here, and then the fish pool up in certain areas, and then I catch like these 24, 26-inch fish, about 4 or 5 pound trout. And usually it's in like 2 feet deep of water. So I just put a bobber on with a worm and I just toss it up creek and let it drift down to them. And wham, fish is on. And I'll take you, we're allowed to keep 5, no size limit, but you just 5 trout. You can keep a teeny trout, a big trout, whatever you want here in California, as long as you're talking rainbow and German brown. But oh, that sucks, bouncer. So yeah, I say it's not mercury you're talking about. I was taught, I used to study plants and herbology with a real nice Native American woman that she talked a lot about mercury and stuff like that. Yeah, it's been weird, to be truthful. I often notice so many times where humans try to exert their dominance and their system onto nature, and it has very, very bad results. Out here in the West Coast, from Colorado west, we had a particular set of trees that used to live out here before the pioneers came. And most of those trees were fire retardant. You had the ponderosa pine. That was the dominant forest from Colorado out, was the ponderosa pine. The ponderosa pine has this real thick bark, and it grows a real tall tree. And its first branches sometimes aren't, they're 60 feet off the ground. And so when a big forest fire rips through a ponderosa pine, it'll just char up some of the outside bark, but it won't kill the tree at all. And then it'll create new fertile ground on the ground level for new seedlings to come. And so the way the Mama Earth, if you will, took care of the forest out here by itself before the pioneer days was it grew particular types of trees that were fire retardant. And so lightning would start a fire somewhere and it would blow through, but then the trees wouldn't burn too much. The teeny tiny bushes and maybe young saplings would burn, but all the old mamas, they were fine. When the pioneers came out and they harvested all the trees and redwoods, sequoias, and most of those little giant ponderosas, giant western red cedars, all these fire retardant trees, and then they replanted them with pine, a tree that would grow fast. Well, they monocropped, which nature never does. And so nature always has a mixture of trees. They cut down these forests and they put one type of tree and one type of tree only there. So now you created a massive issue. You opened the door for things like the pine beetle. The pine beetle came in and it was like, oh, this is a feast. This is a whole entire forest of nothing but pine. So he went to town. And then whenever we have forest fires, all the pines just go up like matchsticks. Then boom. And then it just burns in California. Half of California burns because why? Because they replanted the wrong tree here. Why do they replant the wrong tree? Because they don't want to wait 400 years for a tree to get big. They want to wait 60 years. So personally in my life, I've seen many examples where humanity has said, hey, I know better than Mother Nature. And trout feeding is one. Oh, trout, this is what they eat in nature? They eat crustaceans, they eat this and that. Oh, let's not feed them that. Let's feed them genetically modified trout food. So that's what started me on that little rant. Humans think, oh, I know better than nature. Yeah, buddy. Natural foods. Morels. I got a guy here that eats a couple 100 pounds of morels, man. And he swears how it's changed his whole body. He eats that much every year. He goes and harvests them. And he swears that trying to eat a natural diet with as much... somebody was tagging me instantly. I got my marshmallow. Yeah. And then you got this like Rick Simpson oil. Now, I know people do. I've known a few people, they use this stuff called ozone. It has amazing healing powers. A lot of the things out there that can really heal and do an amazing job, the pharmaceutical company can't make money off of it. And so they really try to suppress that, either the knowledge or the availability of said product. Yeah, Bouncer. You know I'm talking about then, buddy. You're older than me, so I'm 53. You look like you're older than me. I assumed you're older than me. And you know, buddy. Mama Cookie! Let's see if we can catch this guy. Somebody was over here messing with me a minute ago. Yeah, I studied a lot of food stuff. Yeah, I thought so about it. I didn't, don't want to make an ass out of myself and assume. But I studied a lot of different food and like what happened and stuff like that. And same with medicine. And up until like the 1950s, Western medicine here in America, they treated causes. If you had a broken bone, they would come in and fix it. They treated acute injuries. They did not treat chronic injuries. Depression is a chronic injury, if you will. And so up until the 50s, if you had something bad, they'd give you penicillin. They would give you something to heal you up, or they would fix your broken bone and send you on your way. That was it. That's just the way the hospitals worked. And then they had a bunch of financial people came in and started seeing the benefit of treating chronic illnesses, where they could just give you a pill and have you come back next week and get more pills, and you're never going to get cured from it. And so then they started switching their whole entire philosophies over. And so that tends to be what they do now. Now they treat chronic illnesses more than anything else. But around a similar time, big business got into food, and there was this push to be like mother's little helper. And they pushed stuff like shortening. They pushed fast food in the 50s and 60s because women are so busy and taking care of the family and such leaves you so tired that why don't you go to McDonald's now? Why don't you buy a Swanson's TV dinner? And so they did all these weird, of course, it was all run by giant Nabisco companies, these big food corporations. And they started running these like PSYOP terrible campaigns. They started telling you that, eggs are bad, cholesterol's bad, butter's bad. And in the 80s, they pushed it to sugar. It was all about the calories and the sugar, the caloric intake. And you ask any cardiologist what causes heart disease, and they still don't have an answer. It's not clogged arteries. It's not the stuff that they told you in the 80s, that it's all this high fatty food is clogging your arteries. It's like a hose that's just getting clogged because you're eating fat. Nope. And so when you study like how it all progressed, the PSYOP became because they wanted to hook people on an artificial product, and they wanted to get people away from canning, farming, growing their own, hunting, fishing, taking care of their own. Wow. A lot of the old ways disappeared so quick. It's been challenging. There was just north of me in Oregon is the Umpqua River, and there's the Umpqua tribe. And a good buddy of mine has some property up there, and hanging out with him. Yo, Orp! And it was the old chief. He wasn't the current chief, and the old chief of the Umpqua tribe is right there. He was really good friends with my buddy. And man, he had this bead collection of stuff that was a couple 100 years old. And it was just some of the most oldest like trade beads that his tribe had acquired and stuff like that. And it was just amazing to look at. And his mom, the chief's mom, was one of the last wild people that they had up there. And she made it to like the 1980s, 1990s. And she was just living wild in the Southern Oregon Umpqua range. And what the old woman had found that she could do for hunting and taking care of all of her food needs is she would find a deer trail, and she would walk this deer game trail until it dropped down a small little ravine, and then there was like a little creek there, a little 2-3 footer, and then it would go right back up. And so what she got to understand is that when the deers would walk this game trail and then they would jump from this one side of the trail and start heading up the ravine again, they always had a particular pattern. They would kind of open their legs up a little bit to be more sure-footed when they landed. So her whole way of hunting deer was she went and faceted spears, and she would plant them right past that creek on the trail that's going up. So then the deer just walk along like they've walked this trail 1,000 times. They get to the bottom where that creek is, and they go to jump across and start walking up, and they kind of open their chest up to land better, and they spear themselves on those spears. And so that's how this old lady was able to catch deer and feed herself all by herself. She lived up in the woods for like the last 20 years, but nobody else around. Her son had passed, and so she didn't have men around. She didn't have anything. And so you can imagine an 80-year-old woman who's taking down deer all the time. And that was her way of doing it. Was she found that the deer would always follow this particular patterns, and then they would always jump across that little thing and open their legs up to have a softer landing, and then these spears would just impale them right in the chest. The deer would die without any stress, any fear, anything, so the meat would always be perfect. And I always thought that was kind of a neat kind of way. It's like setting traps up or something. You kind of let nature do its course instead of out there with the bow. Doctors are sworn and bound. They have an agreement that they cannot say anything bad against the like it's AMA, American Medical Association. Same with dentistry. Doctors, when they sign an agreement and they get their license, it says right in there that they cannot talk bad about the American dental industry. So your normal dentist cannot tell you that mercury amalgam fillings are bad for you. If you go into his office and say, "Oh, I heard that these mercury fillings are really terrible and I want them out of my mouth," he may take them out, but he cannot agree with you and say, "Oh yeah, I've read the studies that say they are bad." They will literally take his license away. That's why when like medical marijuana came around, they threatened doctors everywhere. If you guys do this, we'll take your license from you, because it was in like the agreement. So those doctors are kind of bound by these stupid rules to they're pushing a product, and they can't say anything bad about that product, or they get their license taken away. I realized, I worked in hospitals for about 4 years, and they do kind of like a form of brainwashing, man. They put doctors through this residency where they make them work 20-hour shifts, 18 or 20-hour shifts nonstop. They barely give them enough sleep to have the body function, and then they put them back in this thing. And so they'll do that for like a couple years in a row, and they it's almost similar to the military where they beat it out of you. They beat any resistance out, any part. Yeah, I got rid of my mercury fillings a long time ago, man, probably a decade ago. And it was so challenging, man. Tried to find a dentist who would do it. And here in this country, almost every town has fluoridated water, and they try to tell you that it's for cavities and this and that. No, it's not, man. They use the Nazis used fluoride in the concentration camps to keep the prisoners docile. So fluoride has been used to keep people docile more than it has been used for anything else. And so about 20 years ago, I read this massive study that was done because up in Canada, they don't do that. They don't force, at least back then they didn't force a lot of their municipalities to fluoridate the water. And so this study showed per capita the cavity rate with fluoridated water, or towns that don't fluoridate water up in Canada. And who do you think had less cavities? The Canadian people. No fluoride, but they had less cavities. And so they're trying to tell American people that we're putting this fluoride in your water because you'll get less cavities. But the proof is not in the pudding, my friends. Fat cat. Yeah, fluoride's bad news, man. Ooh, we got the North American mink across the way. I doubt you guys can see him. Oh, that's cool. Little guy. It's a North American mink. He's about 3 times the size of a squirrel. He looks like a mongoose, basically. Oh, that's cool. Little brown guy. Yeah. Yeah, the Nazis did a lot of really weird experimenting. And in the concentration camp eras, they created about 40 brand new things that did not exist on our planet. And unfortunately, a lot of those products that the Nazi people created, they're scientists. Majority of those products are now in our food. Different dyes, different colors. If you look at the back of Doritos and you read all these weird ingredient lists of all these words, you have no idea. Well, some of those were created. Yeah. Yeah, well water can be really interesting that way. You never know. my buddy had lived in Kansas when he was real young, and they just had a little giardia in their water, and they were real poor. And he's like, we just had to deal with it. And he was like, after about 2 months, your body just adapted and they stopped getting sick. And I was like, wow, man. I don't think you can do that with dysentery, but with giardia, apparently you can just push yourself to get used to it. Yeah, so, truthfully, I've learned to be just cautious about all the things you'll believe, because as humans, we need others. You need others to survive. You need others to learn how to, my buddy's got an issue with his car, and he's got a cylinder that's misfiring. And so we've been, YouTubing like crazy to try and figure it out, trying to learn how to diagnose this truck of his. So we need people. We constantly need people for information, for knowledge, for experiences. And if you can't believe people, yeah, I have real sensitive like gut biome that way. I've gotten sick. I've been in the areas where we have known like contaminated water, and everyone's like, "Oh, you gotta filter the water first. You gotta filter the water before you drink it." And that always worked out, but I would get sick just by like taking a shower in it, because I would just fill up my little solar shower, and I was like, I'm not going to filter the water before I put it into the solar shower. What? Get a little bit in my eyes. Yeah. Yeah. Life can be so strange, man. There's so many obstacles, or so many things out there that are hidden from us, like knowledge. I remember years ago reading this article that big rigs carrying certain toxic chemicals and stuff like that, they're allowed to lose a certain amount of their load during their travel. And so what some of these guys were doing was, when they would travel the I-5 corridor from Canada down to Mexico, if you will, they would just set it to where just a teeny bit would drip out of the back of their truck. And they showed like this infrared thing that showed all the chemical residue that was on these freeways. And a handful of the ones on the West Coast were lit up like you wouldn't believe, but the ones in New Jersey and all this stuff, those freeways were lit up like you wouldn't believe. Man, they were just the brightest looking things under the right color. And they were like, yeah, see how these are all the chemicals that have been dumped here on this highway by big rigs. And it was really interesting to see. And so the human body can be something similar, where it can process a lot of stuff. So it seems like there's a lot of weird stuff that they want to get rid of in the world, but they don't know how to do it. So they put it in human food, and let the human body kind of get rid of it. Yeah, it was. I went through some serious health transformations about 30 years ago, and I cut out my fast food. I was raised on fast food, so I got all that transformed. And then, I'll go through spells the last 30 years where I'll focus big time, and I'll get real healthy. And then I notice the isolation of it. Like, there's no restaurants I can go to, or people try to invite me for dinner. I feel like I'm picking it apart. Oh, there's no gluten in there, is it? There's no this, there's no that. Because I don't do much on the world of condiments. Tomatoes aren't good for me, so I don't do ketchups. Spices aren't good for me, so I can't do hot sauces. I'll do mustard, and occasionally like a veganaise. I don't even do mayonnaise. And so like that kind of stuff's weird, man.
Yo, Schwiggy! So sometimes food will lose its enjoyment because I'm focused too much on health. And then I'll be like, I want to have fun. I want to eat. I want to enjoy. But then my body will not be happy with me. And I'll feel like the sluggishness. I'll feel the mentality, to be honest with you. Yeah. Hey, I believe it. Yeah, I had 3 meals growing up. 3 meals every single day. We had a no meal, miss a meal, and skip a meal. Every day growing up, man, I had 3 meals. No meal, miss a meal, and skip a meal. That was 3 meals. We're guaranteed on my plate. Oh, man, I had to live on top of ramen. Like I remember once, we were pretty poor when I was like, my dad would do really good. He made money. So if I go live with my dad, he would do good. But I lived with my mom and she was just the opposite end of the spectrum. So I'd be like broke central, man. And so I remember living off top ramen for about a month once. It was ridiculous. I would just have ketchup mayonnaise sandwich, man. About all there was. You'd open up the fridge and there'd be nothing. A loaf of bread and the condiments, no lettuce, no meat. We had this thing called steakums. Some of you guys might remember steakums. Steakum. It was like that thin, maybe a flank steak. I'm not sure what kind of steak, but it was pounded out into that little thin thing, and they'd put like a wax paper on it. You'd freeze that puppy up. Hell yes, steakum, baby. That was my jam when I was young, man. Give me a steakum, fry that puppy up, get a little crispy. Heavy mayonnaise sandwich, a little bit of steakum, a little bit of mustard on there. Oh man, that was good eating. Yeah, see, the fish are strange, man. I got a lot of bites early on, and it seems like it's dropped off like crazy the last hour. Yeah, I haven't had me a steakum in quite a while, man. I imagine they're not quite the same. My daughter eats steak and other things like that, and I was telling her about it. I was like, "You should try this steakum." She's like, "Oh, I don't know about that, man." We looked them up online, and I was trying. The only place around here is like a dollar store, like Dollar General sells them. I was like, nobody sells them around any of the stores around here. She was not thrilled. I'm like, look at this. I'll make you a big sandwich with that. She's like, no, I don't know, man. I don't want that thing. Ooh, man. That's sounding good. It's making me want to eat more. Oh, get a bite. Come on, buddy. Take it. Oh, he got my marshmallow, a little turd. He cut my marshmallow. I'm going to get this little guy. He picked that marshmallow up, dragged it towards me because I had slack on the line. And then nothing, man. That's sometimes a good sign because the big fish get big fish are smart, and they'll come up to it and just see if it'll move, see if there's any kind of weird resistance to it. But them little dudes, they just attack anything, man. Yeah, I was reading up on morels a little while ago. Like seems like they're toxic, and you have to cook them correctly. And that seemed like it was the thing it was saying was that you don't ever want to eat a morel raw. Don't ever want to accidentally undercook your morel. That's probably one of my next missions in life. I have to check that out. You wait till the weather gets nice someday, and if you guys know like someone with diving gear, man, just have them go mess with your buddy's line. I saw a couple joke videos like that. Someone's like me, it's got my line out there, and all of a sudden it's just getting jerked on like nonstop, and then there's nothing on there. There's nothing on there, but it's like a diver out there, and he's just tugging on your line, pulling on it, playing with you. That'd be just the ultimate like thing to do to your buddy. Get him all excited, like wham, like your rod just bent over, like nothing. But then there's nothing. Yeah, my herb teacher taught us that only 10% of mushrooms are poisonous. So only like 10% of the mushrooms out there in the world. Oh man, I bet it did, Fishy. And so, I mean, there's not that many mushrooms we actually have to avoid, but the toxicity it can be so strange that sometimes 6 months after you eat it, it can mess with you. So yeah, my herb teacher was a real nice Cherokee woman, and she traveled all over the world studying plants. She would learn different things about different jungles, and the papaya, mango, whatever it is that like the natives of that region would eat. And then she would tell us that over here, for us, we don't have that. We don't have the coconut. We don't have the papaya. We don't have the mango. We don't have like a jungle forest that will feed humans like they do in the jungles. But what we have is we have the mycelium. We have the fungus. And all tribal people made their majority of their food throughout the year came from the fungus. Wow, land. Wow. That's the one where you got to have your drag set as loose as possible. And maybe if you get lucky, the line would hold up. Sound like some of those big fish can just snap that line, though. Those are those experiences, though, Fishy. That gets your heart racing, man. You're like, oh man. It's like playing a slot machine, or it's like 7-7, almost 7, and that gives you that that encouragement to keep trying. You're like, I'm gonna get it next time. I'd have stood there for another hour and been throwing all kinds of crap at him. I'd have cranked my line up. I'd have grabbed my heavy duty rig. I'd have ran home, grabbed my other pole if I had to. Like, you ain't beating me, fish. You and me, we got a score to settle. Yeah. Whoa, that's a big fish. Big fish. Oh, someone's messing with me. They're being smart, man. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'd have been doing. Sometimes I can't tell if it's like a good or bad thing. I've had that happen with steelhead, and I've gone in early and I've gotten some kind of bite, and then I get all excited, and then I'm like, "Oh, what's on, buddy? You and me, and I'm gonna throw everything I got at you." And then 5 hours later, still nothing, and I'm like, "What? Was that a tease?" I'm like, "What's the deal, homie?" Pier, yo, good morning. Good day to you, Pier. It's morning my time. I always like those unexpected ones. Like you're talking about fishy. I was fishing this river that's north of me. It's the Klamath, and it's got a particular time of year when we get the salmon and we get the steelhead. You know, the salmon come in September, October, and then the steelhead right after that. You know, November, the beginning of December. And so about 3 years back, I was like, you know, it was about this time. It was like March. And I'm like, let me go just go. Let's go to the river anyway. I wasn't expecting nothing to be there, man. And I put some roe on, threw a bobber in, put that puppy right where I know this big hole is. Wham! Bobber goes down. And this was like literally first cast. And I hadn't fished for big fish for a couple months, and so I was a little rusty. So my hook setting skills were a little off. I was not expecting. Yo, Isaac was not expecting a big slam. You know, because I was like, there shouldn't have been any big fish in there. In my head, I was just going to try anyway. I was expecting to catch a little trout, and so it caught me off guard, man. That bobber went down, wham, and I saw the fish. He jumped a little bit, and it was a big 3-footer plus. So it was a big fish, man. It would have been a fun fish to deal with. And that was it, though, man. He must have left the hole, and I put another 10 fresh cuts of roe on there, and I didn't get a nibble for the rest of the day, man. So it can be fun, but then you know, my experience is it kind of hooks you in to keep trying. It's like that almost winning in a slot machine, and you're like, oh, I got to keep going because I know I can win. Sweet Isaac. Cool, monkey man. Yeah. Saturday. It's a fun day to just kind of chill. I often do a lot of online computering. Just watch people. Man, I wish I could have got you guys a video of that mink. He's really cool. Fishing for rainbow trout, German brown trout if I'm lucky, but I've been getting rainbow. But they got we got this North American mink here that lives here, and this guy is all brown. He's about the size of a mongoose, about the size of a ferret, and he's a semi-aquatic guy. And he'd been known. You have a bunch of your fish sitting on a stringer, then you look over, Northern California, right by the Oregon border. And all of a sudden, you notice some flip-flopping going on. And you're like, what is going on? I thought that fish was dead. And you look over, and something's actually attacking your stringer. It'd be that little mink. He's a smart dude. I've had a turtle come do that once before. I'm like, what is going on? I know I killed those fish. You hear flash going on over there by your stringer. Turtle. So we got this guy. First time I saw him, I was like, what is that? He came running around. He runs along the bank. Then you watch him jump in the water. One time I was fishing across the way, sitting on this tree stump, and he popped up right by me, like 2 feet away from me. I was like, whoa. I had to look him up. This North American mink, they make the mink coats out of and stuff. Pretty cool looking guy. We got the otter that moved in here. I got the Sacramento River, that this lake starts the Sacramento River. So I'm thinking maybe they migrated from the river. They came in about 2 years ago, a little family of them. Oh, that's so cool. I was out fishing the Klamath. I was out salmon fishing like 3 years ago. And there's all kinds of what look like beaver dam stuff around. This one beaver pops out, and I hear him tail slap the water. Whoosh! And I was like, huh? I studied that later on. I guess sometimes they'll do that for a predatory thing to kind of let you know, this is my area, buddy. You keep away from me. But I saw some. I thought it was the otter at first. I was like, oh, maybe that's the otter. I saw this big head swimming. Then I saw that tail come up, and he goes splash. Makes a big bunch of noise, and his way of declaring, this is my bush. It's my bush. Oh, yeah, I thought so. Oh, yeah, we got fish. Oh, yeah, he's not happy. Oh, yeah, he's a jumper. Oh, he's a jumper. Oh, he's a jumper. Little mini steelhead here. He thinks he's a steelhead. This trout thinks he's a steely. Oh, yeah, he's probably not been caught before. He's like, oh, I'm a jumper. I'm a freaker. Oh, he's a freaker. Oh, he's a jumper. Whoa, he's a handsome dude. Oh, this is a handsome dude. Look at this guy. That is a handsome fish. Look at the colors on him. All them little dots. He's got a little hook right there in his mouth. Hi, everybody. I'm a handsome fish. Good looking rainbow, man. Probably a boy. That's a handsome fish. You're a good looking dude, aren't you? He might be wild with all those colors on him. You a native? You a native? Go on, woo! Go on, jumper. Come on, tail walker. Woohoo! That guy had some frisk. He's a good looking fish, huh? Yeah, I bet that would have been a good eating fish. I was like, I bet that was a native. That thing looked like he'd have probably been pink inside. He looked like he was pink inside. Sometimes you can just kind of tell by the look. Let's see what else we can throw out there. Get one more. He was a little fighter. He was not the happiest to be caught. Marshmallow and a night crawler, I tell y'all. Yeah, he got tossed back, bouncer. He got to rewind like a minute. Due to the color, due to that intensity of color on him, I was trying to see if I could see any blocks on him, the big rectangular blocks like I see in the natives. It looked like I saw a little bit of a remnant of that. I'm about 20 minutes from this place called the McCloud River, and we have the McCloud River red band trout, and the McCloud River actually saved the majority of the rainbow trout. Majority of all the trout y'all on the East Coast fish all came from here. You study your fish in the United States, you realize that when the pioneers came here, the rivers in Virginia all the way to Colorado were just full of trout, mostly brooks, and they wiped them out. I mean, they literally decimated. They completely killed off all the trout population in all the rivers and creeks and streams on the East Coast. And so, as they made their western migration, they thought, we killed this source of fish. And then when they made it all the way out here to California, they found the McCloud River, and it was just incredible. And it had this beautiful type of trout growing there. Oh, man. And so through the grace of sharing genetics all around the world, they managed to repopulate all of the rivers back in the East Coast. Not all, I shouldn't say all of them. I can't say that for sure. There's probably a handful of little creeks and rivers that never got repopulated. Oh, yeah, that'd be great, man. That'd be really cool. That'd be great, man. I have to learn about that, man. That's one of the next things I said. I got to figure out how to bump. I kicked my rod. That was me. I have to figure out how to use the crankbaits. And except I watch people do them. So I'm like, oh, that'd be fun. So yeah, the trout from right around here have managed to repopulate majority of the United States trout, and then they took them to New Zealand, they took them to Australia. So the McCloud River trout from right up here, and that's what's a lot in this. And it looked like that guy that was right there. He looked like a red band trout to me. He just has a little bit of a distinctive red band on him, and he's got a little bit of that purple coloring that goes through him. I was just telling people about the McCloud River trout. Like, I think it was Roosevelt. When Roosevelt first saw the McCloud River, I mean, he was just astonished and wanted to do some national parks, and they wanted to preserve the McCloud. Now there's 2 dams on the McCloud River, so it's not what it once. No, I don't know about that. Whatever you feel works. You probably know what looks good, what might work. I really have no clue, to be honest with you, about colors or patterns on those. I'm pretty unknowledged. I'm lacking knowledge when it comes to the kind of gear and or requirements for bass fishing, to be honest with you. Probably natural. Let's go with that. More natural, because the waters out here tend to be pretty clear majority of the time. So I imagine natural is going to fit. We tend to use bright things when we get really clouded, murky water. We want something that's going to be for trout and steelhead and stuff like that. We want them to see it. So I imagine it's going to be similar with bass and those other guys. Yeah, the McCloud River, man, it's a real beautiful place. It's got this couple waterfalls, and so it's got this real nice I'd say it's 30 feet high, just massive basalt area. And so the water drops way down. It makes this big bowl down there. And Grease, hello. And so Scott's Fowler Creek campground. Oh, that was a fish. So bright ones work better, your opinion, Fishy? Okay, cool. Because I would say only knowledge I have on that is trout related, and that isn't pressured or non-pressured. It's more of a water. Can you see through the water, or is it murky? Murky versus clear water, we have to use different presentations. What little I know about bass is they seem to be predatory kind of guys, and they get mad when you're in their face, when you're in their space. So that's what I liked when I lived in Lake Sarah, in Illinois. Oh, yeah. For steelhead and trout being similar, trout is a rainbow. Steelhead is a trout that just goes out to the ocean. We tend to have to address our colors of our presentation to do the water. If we have a lot of rain that's been going on, the rivers and stuff like that get clouded up and they get muddy, and they're swollen, and so visibility is minimal. So we want, if it's terribly, terribly murky, muddy, and just really difficult to see in, then we want something a little bit brighter that's going to, not a natural presentation, but when it's like really clear, like the other end of this inlet that I come to, it's just so crystal clear that you got to have as natural presentation as possible, because they can spot a fake mile away when they can see it that good. Oh, thanks, Grace. Yeah, the sun's about to pop up over here. Heck yeah, land. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do some. Might get a hold of South Wisconsin family fishing. He's got the graphics art degree and stuff like that. So he was talking with Any Fins the other day about doing his redoing his sticker thing for him. So I might talk to him about doing something like that. See if I can hire him to do some sticker design for me, because I don't know computers worth nothing. And I'm the kind of person that I can do anything in the world if I put my mind to it. But I can learn computer-based stuff, and I sit there and learn, edit programs, and I do all this stuff. But then I read what my body tells me. My body's just not happy. Heck yeah, land. Yeah, Northern California, mate. And so it's one where I do my best to follow the natural rhythms of life, and doing that too much computer-based work where I just got to sit still like that, my body really complains at me. I start having this tension in my shoulders. Oh, right on, man. Yeah. South Wisconsin's great, man. You know, I do these gatherings where a bunch of us people will just gather out in the woods, and we were just taught to bring the skills that you have in real life to these gatherings. So if you're, if you happen to be a parking attendant and that's your job is parking attendant in a valet at some nice hotel or something like that, well, then it's like help people park their cars, help people find places. If you're a doctor or nurse, if, like myself, you worked in the hospitals, when you get together in these wood environments, it's like, do that. And so that's what I kind of notice about the fishing community too. It's like there are certain ones of us that have other skills, and it's like, man, it's better to work together You know, let's say if I was to try and do it myself, and I was to sit there and do some design work and try to make a cool logo or a sticker or something like that, it might take me all of 1 or 2 days worth of work. 5 hours a day, really learning, figuring it out step by step, watching tutorials, trying to go through it all. 2 days to make myself a really cool sticker, and it might just be like adequate at best. But then I can work with somebody else like South Wisconsin who's got an art degree, and he could probably get it done in like 20 minutes. And it would probably be way better than anything I can do in 2 days worth of work. So I'd rather like trade him. It's like, all right, what do you want to trade? Even if it's just cash, I'll trade you some cash for your time. But it's like, that's what I've come to understand, is that we all have different skill sets. And if we can try to work with each other, I have a very particular set of skills, as Liam Neeson would say. And my skills I'm incredibly good at it. If anyone ever needs like stones, if you guys if you found some amazing stone you have and you want to turn it into a piece of jewelry, it's like, you mail that thing to me and I'll cabochon it up, and my daughter or business partner, they'll do all the silversmithing, and then you'll be able to wear that puppy. So that's what I like. It's being almost half native. It feels natural. It's kind of how we always used to take care of our community. Was everyone just pitched in doing what they were good at. Wow, man, that's really cool. I've learned to not label myself over time. I always tell people that I play drums and I sing in a band, but I don't say I am a singer or I am a drummer, because I don't like to label myself as just one or two particular things. I am an endless amount of things. I know how to do a lot of things. Nice. Yeah, I got a couple buddies here. One of them is a gemologist guy, and he makes swords and knives and everything, and he teaches blacksmithing, and he's really, really good at it. So he does really nice Damascus and stuff like that, and he'll do like inlays in the handles and other aspects like that, and it's just gorgeous, man. I know another guy who's like incredibly skilled artist, and he does like metal work, pendants, and he takes like a shiny piece of metal and he'll mount a facet in there, like a flat piece of nickel or silver, and it's just really intricate the way you can do it. You look at it and you can't even tell how that stone is held in there. Like, would you glue it? No, but they actually pull a teeny bit of metal up over the sides to hold the bezel part of a facet in. That Damascus stuff is really cool, man. We've made a few just little fart around knives. Took a steel file, turned it into a knife. I watched things on that Ulfbert steel, the old Ulfbert swords from Sweden. That was a really cool looking process. Ooh, yeah, Scrimshaw. That's marshmallow fell off. Scrimshaw, that's an old art there. It's disappearing for sure. They used to have these like meerschaum pipes. You might remember the meerschaum pipe. Oh, marshmallow is on there. And man, those things would be so beautiful. All that Scrimshaw that was on there. We'll use these really weird horns from these critters in Africa, and there'll be like this twisted horn that's got like this spiral pattern in it, and it'll be like a 3 foot long horn. Gembok. I want to say it's a Gembok. Is the creature. Ooh. And so this creature, like the Gembok, it looks like a gazelle, kind of weird looking horn. It's got those spiral patterns, but it doesn't have much of a curvature. It's just like a straight up horn. And so we use those. We'll use that like a staff. Hold that, and then we take and mount crystals in the opening part. Oh, I got a little hit on that one. Those are fun to do. I really like those. I'm in Mount Shasta, so it's kind of like a spiritual town. So we make a lot of ritual items, a lot of ceremonial items, and we're me, my business partner, my daughter, we're all the ones who run the shop and create everything. And so we make a lot of our own unique art that's unlike anything else you can get anywhere. It's not something you'll find in a catalog. It's all hand done. A lot of the other stores up and down the West Coast, they all buy from the same places. It's the same garbage. Can't tell one shop from the other. It's all the same cataloged fake garbage. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, those long bull horns are nice. Yeah, those Gembok things are really cool, man. We make this really specialty, like ceremonial staff kind of thing. Be pretty nice. It's only something that sells for a few $100, not the couple thousand one. We make a lot of like smudge fans. I'm Lakota, and my business partner is Mongolian. He's a big, tall Mongolian guy. And so his dad had a really cool particular set of artistic skills that he passed on to him. And so we make things that are pretty much not made anywhere else. You're probably in the same boat with Scrimshaw. The art you make and other people like you, it's individual, and you'll never see another one like it. Oh, yeah. California is really odd, man. We got all these terrible restrictions on us. Got the Migratory Bird Act. And so we're so limited on the feathers that we can sell. We pretty much turkey and pheasant and, peacock and a few different chickens that we can use. But it's mostly turkey and pheasant. We find really cool decorative pheasants. But we can't use any of the claws. We can't use any of the teeth. I go to Arizona a lot to buy supplies, to buy my year's worth of stones. And they have different laws. And so I can buy grizzly bear claws. I can buy mountain lion claws. I can buy whatever I want there. But I can't do anything with them. I can only sell them at like powwow. And so you'll get in big trouble here. People come into our shop all the time and you can never tell if they're like some fetty or something, because they're like, oh, is this owl? Is this it seems like they're always trying to tell us, always trying to get us to say that what we got is like an owl or something. It's like, no, those are turkey feathers. That was a decent hit. And then there goes my marshmallow. That's what I like about the marshmallow, though, is I can always tell if I missed him. Because my marsh floats up. I had this set of mallard ducks that were coming around for a while, and she was the little female. Loved to clean up all the marshmallows. She'd come mooch me. She'd ask me for them. She'd get about 3 feet away from me and just kind of like, hey, got a marshmallow? And I appreciated her. I called her Marsha. Marsha the Mallard, after my marshmallows. Anytime a marshmallow floats up, I have to keep track of it because it's like, oh, was that the one did that one just come off, or did I lose that one 10 minutes ago? And when she comes around and eats all that marshmallows, that's so cool, man. So now I go stress. Nice. That one's been a tough one for me, man. You know, being native and stuff like that. I have my own viewpoint on like laws of nature. And then, you know, but you got to follow the law, man. And so it's like, all right, I get it. It's not the easiest one to surrender, bend down, because I was taught to only take the things you need and to take what's in balance. And if you ask, that you know, Creator provides. And that's what I see all the time in real life when I fish and when I need food or something from my family members. The fish will come when I ask them to do that. Ask for offering fish. They don't put up a fight. They just come easily. So I feel like the same. Occasionally there's a, you know, roadkill bear, or there's something that happens. And, you know, I got friends who will process it. Yeah. And, you know, but then they still, you know, the non-tribal people that do it, you know, a bear got hit by the train. And so they go over there and try to salvage as much as they can off it, but they have to do it under the risk of penalty. And it's just like, why? Sometimes it doesn't make sense. I understand for anti-poaching, because if the laws were you could just go take what you want, then all those unscrupulous people will take way more than they need. Yeah. A lot of that stuff that they taught was really rough, man. I had a buddy who had some back issues. And he was like, man, you know, his parents used to get on him all the time to sit up straight and have good posture. And that mess you up, man. You know, that slouching that teachers used to always get on. No slouching, sit up straight in that chair. And it would just kill my back. But then I'd go back to the slouch a few minutes later. Yep. Man, I bet that. And so later on, I read all these reports that showed that the people that actually slouched have less back problems than the people that were forced to sit up straight. And you look at our back, the human back has that curvature to it. So that's sit there and be quiet and be a good little boy and sit there with that perfect posture. I mean, that stuff messed you up. It did not help. It did not make you a good person. It screwed you up, bro. Give you back problems. I'm glad you didn't listen, Fishy. My mom had a terrible philosophy of breaking the kids down. Remember, she actually talked to me about that. And her viewpoint was, you took your child and you broke them. You broke all their will, their drive, their ambition, their spirit, everything. And then my mom would program into this child what she wanted. And that's what she did with my older sisters. And when I was like 20 some years old, she says to me, she's like, you know, I could never stand that about you. She's like, there was never any controlling you. You wouldn't listen for nothing. And I was like, no, I'm not going to let you beat me down. You're not going to break me. But that's what she wanted to do with my sisters. And then she rebuilt them in her like messed up image, because my mom wasn't a healthy person. And then my sisters were all messed up. But I was like, no, you ain't breaking me. And I'll never forget when she was like, that annoyed me so much about you. So no matter how hard I tried, there was no breaking you. I was like, damn right. That's wrong. Absolutely wrong what you did. Oh, man, I set that pole down. Fish. I love you, fish. I sat there and hold that pole the whole time, waiting for that sucker to get me. Nothing when I'm holding the pole. I set it down. The second I set it down, bam, there he gets me. There he goes. I did that live a while back, and it was like clockwork, man. I was just talking about how bad these fish are. Like, they like to play jokes on you. It might have been walleye was on my live or something like that. And like, as I was saying it, I was like, these fish are just, watch, I'll hold this pole for 10 minutes and I won't get nothing, and I'll set it down. And the second I set that pole down, bam, 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 just like that. Held it in my hands for 5 minutes straight, nothing. I'm like, I got to scratch my nose. Set the pole down. Ha ha ha! I think the fish have a sense of humor. They like messing with you. He's over there telling his buddy, I got him, bro. I got him. Yeah, fishy. I'm glad it didn't, bro. I'm glad. You know, I saw that, you know, take away your name and just give you a number. Yep. I thought so. Man. I thought I was going to hit on that rod. He got me. These guys are messing with me, boy. Taking my bait. Yeah, I really, you know, have the personality type to be a policeman. You know, my uncles were and stuff like that. And I really would have enjoyed being a policeman in life. But I just couldn't, I didn't want to be beat down. I didn't want to have my individuality beat out of me. And I definitely didn't want to have to enforce crimes that I didn't morally disagree with. And so that was a tough one for me. And so I opted not to. I have that inside of me, though, where it's like I can't stand any kind of injustice that I see or experience in my world. I will defend anybody, any chance I get. Yeah, they do the same thing with doctors, man. It's like a form of brainwashing where they get rid of your personality, they get rid of your free thinking, they get you to not be a individual person. You just follow commands, and that's it. And that's what seemed to be hard for all the post-traumatic stress that you see certain military people go through. Is, you know, they have to kill and they have to do certain things, but you know they're commanded to do it, so they just do it. But then later on, they second guess should they have followed all those orders and commands that they were given. So that's what I never wanted to, you know, do. I wanted to be in control of the decisions I make. I don't want to do something that'll emotionally scar me for the rest of my life, and I had no control over it. I had to do it. So I don't really know. I haven't walked in that situation. I haven't walked a mile in somebody else's shoes like that, so I don't really know what I would do in those scenarios. Free will was too important to me, though. Getting little taps, man. They keep just messing with it, though. Just messing with it. Oh, I might have got him. Oh, I got a fish. He got it. I got this little guy. Oh, he's a littler guy. That's why. Like, who is this little one? Who's this little guy? Looks like a little female, maybe. No, that's a pretty one. Uh oh, buddy. Come on now. Oh, I know. I have to get you back in the water. Let's go say hi, everybody first. So, hi, everybody. So, I'm a pretty fish. I'm a pretty fish. I'm a pretty fish. Hey, everybody. Hi, everybody. Elvis fish. You go take off, Buggy. You out. He gone. He gone. He gone. He gone. Yeah, I understand. You know, the like you said from World War II or earlier on, they all understood it was pretty simple feeling. The Vietnam one seemed to be kind of strange. It was Admiral Morrison actually sent the orders across that declared the war for Vietnam, and so his intentions, Admiral Morrison back then, I don't know. So it seemed like Vietnam on, Desert Storm, all these other ones, we're there because there's weapons of mass destruction. Yeah, I think we were there for the oil fields. There were 69 untapped oil fields in Iraq at that point. And I think we were in Afghanistan for the opium and control of that and some of the other things. And so when there's all these weird, like, hidden political reasons why we're at war, I guess made it challenging for people to understand. But when there's actual tyranny going on in the world, then it's like, yeah, we got to put an end to this tyranny. And that made sense. Like I said, with World War II, Hitler's mission and stuff like that, it was a really easy time to gather and be like, no, we got to put an end to this. Churchill was like, yo, we need your help. Otherwise, the whole world might be in a bad place. But all the psyops that have gone on since then, I imagine, it really changed because, like, in World War II, all those guys came back. They were like the James Dean. They came back and they, they had all this energy and this testosterone, and that's when the baby boom started. But they also started the motorcycle craze and the hot rodding craze, and there was a lot of drag racing in the 50s and 60s because that energy of those men, they were really like manly men, came back with their Marlon Brando, James Dean look with their leather jackets. And worst they did was drink a little bit, and they had a pack of Marlboros on their shoulder. And there was a certain pride in America. It seems like ever since then, little by little, things have been chipped away. Military's having a terrible hard time with recruits right now, and the quality of recruits are pretty poor. I've always had a lot of pride in America. I've been like, yeah, you don't want to mess with us, man. America, we will destroy any country that wants to mess with us. I'd say it's been about 10 years or so since I've really had that same kind of pride that I used to have in America. I used to be so proud to be an American. It's like the whole world looked up to us. We were this morally positive country. Now there's so many ways which I see yeah, absolute, mate. One of these gatherings I went to was in West Virginia, and the policing force doesn't like us gathering like this in the wilderness when there's thousands of us just doing our thing. And so they'll push us around a lot and make us move different spots. And so there's some newt, some weird little salamander thing in the spot that we tried to go to. And so they forced us to go to another place. And they made us go to this place in West Virginia. They made us go to an old camp where they put the Japanese when World War II was on. They took all Japanese people living in America and they put them in prisons. Basically, for like 4 years they held all Japanese people in these little camps. And so that's where we got to go, was one of these old camps, and there was all these old like concrete buildings, and it was weird. But our mission in life was to try to bring positive energy to every situation we went to. And so for whatever reason, it kind of seemed like this part of the land had a lot of scars on it, and we were there to try and help heal the scars. Sure was weird though, looking at these old building things and knowing that just innocent Japanese living in America just got wrangled up and said, nope, you're the enemy. Yeah. Yeah, that was me too. I always wanted to be Luke Skywalker. I wanted my life to mean something. I always wanted to be the focal point against the battle and good and evil. I always felt like the most noble thing I could ever do would be to sacrifice my own life to make the world a better place, to save somebody else. I kind of had to work through that. I had to work through that savior complex. I definitely wanted to be a Jedi. Just that idea of living for something more than yourself, to your purpose be to bring peace and joy. Sure sounded like an amazing ideal. I've often thought about like that, like in a sci-fi movie like the Avengers. It's like, who would I gather? It's like, out of all the people that have ever been throughout television, movies, or whatever, if you had to gather a crew to go out there and do battle with or something like that, you'd want like Superman. You'd want something like that. But I would want Yoda. I would want Yoda to be like a big part of whatever crew I ever created to go out there, battle evil, if you will. Yoda was always one of my top guys I would create in that kind of crew. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I watched that Oppenheimer stuff a while back. It's interesting to see what people did who had a lot of knowledge in some fields like that, and then how unsettling that must be to know that like you're just channeling what's good, what how your brain works, but then you help create something that causes a lot of destruction. A long story from the Hopi native tribe tells this tale from a long time ago, and it was written down in a tablet. And so the Hopis have these stone tablets, and there's actually 4 sets of tablets. And to simplify the whole story, there came a point where God said he was going to take humanity and split them into 4 different races. At this time, humanity all looked the same, and we're all one tribe. And God said, I'm going to split you into 4 different groups, and one group is going to stay here, but the other 3 is to travel the world and to learn. And then when you're all to come back, you're supposed to bring the teachings that you all experienced, and you're going to come form a beautiful union and create a beautiful world. And he said, during that time, I'm going to give each of you guardianship over particular elements. So he said to the black race, I give you the guardianship of water. To the yellow race, the Asians, he said, I will give you guardianship of air. To the native race, or what they call the red race, he said, I'm going to give you guardianship of the earth. And to the white race, he said, I'll give you guardianship of fire. And what that meant was that you're supposed to go spend time, and you're supposed to understand, and you're supposed to delve into spirit and learn the secrets that each of those elements have to offer. And if you look at white man, and you look at white man's inventions, the combustion engine, fire; light bulb, fire. Majority of white man, their gifts were fire related. And you look at the biggest misuse of that ability, and it was bombs. The nuclear bomb. It's nothing but a big ball of fire. You look at most Native American ceremonies, they're sweat lodges. There's something to do with some kind of earthbound. You look at the yellow native race. They've got these people up in Tibet, and these amazing, beautiful Asian people, and they're sitting there praying. They're using breath. They're using air to enter spirit, and they got all these amazing techniques for you breathe this way and that way. It'll enter you. And the black man have discovered so many amazing things. All the discoveries of blood, like plasma, and all these amazing works came from black scientists, because the power of water was given to black man. So you understand that a white person in nature has a gift of fire. It's what's natural. It's what's natural to a white man. And so I've seen it. You've seen the scientists, and you probably saw it too, Fishy, in your reality, who excelled really well at nuclear biology, nuclear fission. The white people probably did really well. And it's not saying others can't. I'm just saying that's what God said. I'm granting you these things to delve deep in and understand, and the secrets will be revealed to you. And that's really what I saw. And so I started paying attention to these gatherings, and I started seeing, we had the natives, we had the white people, of course. And then the black people started coming back around. They came from like Africa. They came from like Jamaica, and they were like a little bit Rasta-y, but they started bringing us their teachings. And the last that was missing was the Asians. And the Asian, like Kwai Chang Kang and all this stuff, they had this thing where if you weren't part of the bloodline, you wouldn't be taught. We won't teach you the martial arts. We won't teach you the secret unless your last name is Lee. You will not learn this. So that was kind of like the last piece of the puzzle, was waiting for what the Asians had been studying and what they wanted to bring forth. And I started seeing it in the late 90s. I started seeing these beautiful Asian little hippies, and they were breaking cultural bounds, and they were losing face with all their relatives. Everyone was so upset with them because they weren't following the traditional Japanese path. They were going and following the spiritual path. It finally brought the missing piece of the puzzle. That's about the easiest way I'll say that. So it makes sense to me, Fishy, because there's certain things that just kind of come easy. And I truly believe a long time ago when Creator did that, was a way of helping us understand how we will grow and how we will be able to build a beautiful world together. And it was said that when these people came back, there would be two different realities. That when the people circled the globe and came back to the Hopi, that if they remembered their traditional teachings, that they would have remembered a particular handshake. And that when the people came back, and this was about a 10,000 year period that humanity had disappeared, and then they circled the globe and came back to the Hopi, either they were going to come like turtles who walk the land, or they're going to be your brothers who remember the sacred teachings, and they will remember the handshake. Well, unfortunately, about 1400, the Hopis looked out, and they saw what looked like turtles walking the land. And it was the Spanish conquistadors with their big shields and all that weight on their back, and they had that hunched over like marching stance they made. And according to the old prophecies, if we saw the turtle that walks across the land, that we were in for a lot of hard times. So that's about an hour long story that I just chopped up real bad. Yep. That's really cool, man. Yeah, it's really, you get that. You get in those people that are on that same level, man. It's like you can create. You probably felt that power. You're like, man, we can actually make some stuff. We can put our minds together in this peer group that I'm with, and we can make some shit happen in this world. And that's what's cool. That reminds you that like you're in your element. You're doing what God gave you the gift to do. We're not just supposed to be these automatons that just sit and punch a time clock. We have so much more that we can aspire to. Yeah, I've done a very similar thing. I was taught about 25 years ago that the more you know, the less you know, fishy. The few people that have a broadcast that they know a lot of things and they try to save the world, they've been taken down. Not many people know about John Lennon, but he started to get kind of political towards the end of his life, and he had he created this thing called the Free John Sinclair Rally, and a guy named John Sinclair was put in prison, and it was falsely imprisoned. And John Lennon was taking up arms to do some positive things in the world, and he said, "Let's do this Free John Sinclair rally, and let's march to the White House." When John Lennon asked the public to come to this Free John Sinclair rally, 200,000 people showed up. 200,000 people showed up. Guess who was freed from prison the very next day? John Sinclair. Guess who died just a few weeks later? John Lennon. Guess who didn't want him using that power anymore? They did the same thing to Bob Marley. Once he raised his voice too much and he got too many people starting to gather and make a change, who he think snuffed him out. Yep. So, like you, my friend, I've chosen to suppress certain things I know until the time is right, and usually in closed circles we can have talks. But it's been a dangerous world to really put out there all the things that you understand and know, especially those free energy kind of guys. If you're trying to make free energy, they'll come and snuff you. Yeah, Dylan's one of my favorite, man. Dylan is one of my faves. Love it. I saw that movie just came out onto Hulu. I got Hulu. Pay like my $70 for my live TV Hulu stuff so I can watch my sports. But I saw the Dylan movie. Dylan was a jerk, man. Dylan was really rude. He was a real terrible bandmate. I saw him live many times, and he was just really kind of rude, kind of a jerk to his bandmates. He wouldn't look at him, wouldn't talk much, wouldn't communicate very much, and he just kind of had a holier than thou attitude. So I appreciate Dylan's music, but the person himself, not so much. He's kind of like a diva. And so divas don't do it for me. It's like, man, just because you create something and it's beautiful, it doesn't mean you're any better than anybody else, man. Humble yourself. So I haven't seen that new Dylan movie, probably because I got a block on. Love Dylan's music, don't really care for the dude. Yeah, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, man. This, if you said you watched the Y-Files at times, and he did one on free energy a little while back, and he showed all the different people that got taken down, man, just taken down. And so I've seen it in a few different things. I've seen it with prohibition kind of related stuff where they really wanted to keep marijuana down. And if a doctor recommended it, he was fired. And it's like the Hearst, not the Hearst, but the It's a Rockefeller company, maybe it was the paper company, and they had this massive financial investment to keeping it like that. And so you can see the same thing with free energy. There's these power companies, they just don't want that information being shared. Now, Y-Files one was interesting because this guy did this thing to make to mess with a carburetor and make your engine get like a couple hundred miles to the gallon, and then that thing was snuffed in like the 50s or 60s. But then, just like nature, if someone needs to be born, there was a guy who created the exact same device 30 years later, and he was snuffed too. Yo, Craig. Yeah, I think I'll watch the Bob Dylan movie on Hulu now that I don't got to pay for it. It's like, all right. Yeah, that's been sad to watch because I've always wanted the world just to become a better place. But anytime you see some people talk about creating something that can cure a bunch of people or can get you off of the teat of the businessman, then they seem to get nervous and they put a snuff to it. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So then, I mean, you know, if you hadn't watched that Y-Files, you should search it out, man, because you probably like it because like it showed these people that just use their scientific mind and they created something, like I said, in the early years of cars, and it was just supposed to revolutionize it all, and then they snuffed it, and then 30 years later, some scientist like your grandpa just was like, why don't we do this? And he wasn't copying somebody else's because they get rid of all the old literature. He just had something inside him. Really, Craig? All right, cool, buddy. I appreciate that, man. I you know, I'd say the last 5 years or so since the woke movement, I haven't been as impressed with a lot of movies. I see a lot of the political jargon that they're trying to push in there, and so I haven't been too thrilled with what to expect from modern movies. Yep. Wow. Wow, man. Yeah, you should watch that Y-Files, bro, if you haven't, because it might even be your grandpa they had in there. Talk about that thing. Like Volkswagen right now has a vehicle that will get that. It gets like 300 miles to the gallon. 300 miles to the gallon. It's this weird little like half motorcycle, half looking car. It's teeny. And I think it's Audi has a couple of these vehicles that get over 70 miles to the gallon. I'm not sure. Just look up Y-Files and then put in like free energy, and it should come up for the Y-Files. I'm not sure the name of the episode, but it was all about free energy, so that tag should do it. But so yeah, I was reading about this car that Volkswagen has. So 300 miles to the gallon. But of course, it won't pass United States safety standards. So it can't be sold here in America. Neither can the 70 miles per gallon car. So I mean, that was like 8 years, maybe 10 years ago. I was reading about that Volkswagen car. They have it in other countries and stuff like that, but they don't want us to have it here. And I was like, are you kidding me? 300 miles to the gallon. So that's 10 gallons of gas that will get you from California to New York. Yep. That's what they did, man. That's what they did to the Volkswagen, the current one. They're like, nope, it won't pass collision standards. It won't this and that. My butt, man. I mean, you know, we used to drive the Pinto and the Gremlin and all these things. They let a lot of weird cars out there that shouldn't have been out there that were safety hazards. I mean, I drive a motorcycle, and there's nothing. There's nothing to protect you on a motorcycle, man. If you get in an accident, then you're just done. So if a motorcycle can be legal, you would think. Yeah, that makes sense. I watched this one guy who was, he's like, he was amateur engineer, and he was like, engines are supposed to work off the vapor of gasoline, not the actual gasoline itself. And so he took his carburetor and he ran a hose from like a 5 gallon jug of gas into his carburetor. So only thing that was going up there was the vapors coming off of this 5 gallons of gas. And his engine ran like a champ. Sat there running it for hours. And it would run for hours and it wouldn't even dent a single bit of the gas because it was just running off the vapors alone. Yeah, it's always been a weird one. I think more than anything else, what I'd love to see in this world is like those kinds of powers that be to just disappear. So then the free energy creations, all the things that people create to try to make this world a better place, it could actually happen. And we could make this world a better place. Well, all right, Fishy, and all you beautiful folks. Looks like I just hit over 3 hours. I think I'm pretty toast. Fish are done biting. They're saying no more. We let you. I think I brought 3 in. I think I caught 3 to show everybody. Tomorrow might be stormy and ugly, so I don't know. I may have to rain it up. All right, man. Wild man. Fishy things. All you good people. Thanks for being here. Thanks for saying hi, hanging out. Appreciate you, Fishy. Hope you're doing well, buddy. I appreciate all you guys for being who you are. You're beautiful people. I will see you all in either your lives or come in and say hi to while I'm doing live. All right, guys. Have a beautiful rest of your day, man. Peace out.